Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us for SMTV on this Thursday. I'm Duncan Gilman.
And I'm Jamie McCook.
Think about your addictive vices. Cigarettes, maybe? Sex? And Facebook.
Yes, there was a recent study done, apparently, between the ages of 15 and 85. People that live in Germany to figure out what is more tempting to them. And there were some interesting results.
And it turns out Facebook is just as addicting as sex and cigarettes and just as hard to give up.
That's insane. And there was also, another one was done a few months back that was talking about Twitter and how it was, easier to give up alcohol and cigarettes than it was to give up Twitter.
Yeah, both of these studies done by University of Chicago, Booth School of Business. And this one, the Twitter one, was back from February, but similar results. Apparently social media across the board is an addiction that is tough to give up. And I think one of the themes that came up again in the most recent survey is that one of the reasons that it's hard to give it up is because it's so easy to get to. The access to social media is so easy that we can go to our Twitter page or our Facebook page whenever we want. So to withhold that, we really notice it when it's gone.
Right, because if you have your cell phone in your hand, it's just a habit to want to open your Facebook app if you have, a couple of minutes at lunch. Right. And so you can just go on and, swipe it. So if you don't, you're right, you probably would miss it.
Interesting study. We'd love to know from you if social media is addicting and has affected your addictive nature or your personality. How are your social media campaigns going, though? Are you getting results? Because we're here to help you make the most out of your Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, blogs, Pinterest, whatever you're working on.
You can email your questions to questions@splashmediau.com, or you can tweet them to us by using the hashtag SMTVQuestions.
Let's answer some questions from our listeners. Our first question today is from Elizabeth. Elizabeth would like to know, what is a Google Hangout?
I'm so glad they asked this question. I actually just found out what this was about a day ago. My dad actually, he just messaged me and was like, hey, and he's like, go to this. And it's an easy way to go and video chat. You can do groups of people or just one or two. It's kind of fun.
It's great. I think this is one of the biggest benefits of Google Plus, is this new Hangouts, which can accommodate up to 10 people in a free Hangout. But businesses are also taking advantage of it to do live broadcasting, which is pretty cool because you can see the Hangout without joining. So you can watch as other people discuss, as maybe there's a panel discussion that can happen live over Hangouts. It's pretty neat.
Oh, so you don't have to participate when you're doing it?
Right. You can watch, you can send out a link to watch this particular Hangout, but you already have your the people who are actually interacting predetermined.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Pretty neat thing for businesses.
Blake wrote to us, what's this new thing on LinkedIn endorsing people?
You probably have seen these little pop-up boxes on LinkedIn when you go to certain connections. In fact, let me actually open LinkedIn now so I can show you one. So let's say Jamie wants to endorse some of the skills that I've said that I have on LinkedIn. A little pop-up box might appear like this when she goes to my profile, and she can endorse me for all of these skills or certain of them in particular. And where they appear is down on your skill list at the very bottom here. It'll tell me all the people who have endorsed me for that particular skill.
That's a really awesome feature. It seems like it's kind of, you don't actually have to go in and recommend people. It's kind of like a shortened version of doing that.
Exactly. Recommendations, I think, are still the first choice. And if you can get maybe at least one recommendation for each position that you've had, that's the ideal situation so that people can read a little bit about what you did in that position. But this is a great way to have a little interaction with your connections and for other people to see, yeah, it's true, he says he's good at social media, and these people confirm that he's good at social media.
Right, that's a nice little thing to have from coworkers. If they endorse something, you're kind of like, oh, well, thank you.
Exactly. Quick little one-click thing, little pat on the back from former employees, former coworkers.
Absolutely.
Darren wants to know, how do I handle people that write on my Facebook page all the time?
Wonderful question. If they're writing relevant information or if they're basically talking about how great your product or company is, you probably don't want to get rid of them because they're basically your evangelists. So people are going to read these and they're going to listen and be like, okay, maybe we should try out this product. If it's negative, you have a few options. You can either hide the post, or you can block them, or you can even report it as spam, depending on which action you want to take.
That's great advice. And it's so easy to see just the people who are posting on your page. I'm on the Splash Media U page right now on Facebook, and I can sort these right underneath the header of the page by highlights, friend activity, post by page, and then post by others. And in post by others, I can see these are all the people outside of Splash posting on Splash's timeline, or Splash Media U's timeline, and I can answer them, I can comment, and just like you said, I can go in each individual one and delete it, or mark it as spam, or even just hide it from the page.
Right, I mean, that's great. I mean, especially if it's something that's vulgar and you don't want it on there. I mean, yeah, if they're doing it over and over again, you may want to consider blocking.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it gets kind of, old having to go in and block everything.
Right.
But, I mean, if it's just, negative comments here and there, I don't know. It's kind of iffy, I guess.
I agree. And, it's interesting, for individual personal profiles, things get a little trickier because you have individual settings that you can decide on for each of your connections. For each of your friends, you can say, well, I want this person to be able to post, but I don't want to see this person's post. So you can tweak each individual person for your personal profile, and it just depends on how often are they posting stuff on your page, and do you want to see that or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great advice. Carol wrote to us, what's a tweetup?
A tweetup is a lot like a meetup, but for Twitter. It starts on Twitter. The difference is, and in fact, Boston Tweetup had a great article, I just pulled it up on the screen here, a great article about the difference between a meetup and a tweetup. And meetups really start around a common theme, and tweetups are primarily social. And all it is people getting together in a physical location to talk about, for example, with a meetup, to talk about a specific topic, or for a tweetup, just to meet socially and network. Yeah,
I mean, that's pretty much, I used to do meetups all the time because it was a great way to network. So I guess tweetups is just another way around that. You just get on Twitter, hashtag it, and figure out where everyone's meeting.
And in a way, it's a little bit easier. It's a little bit more accessible on Twitter because if you're already on Twitter, you just find a hashtag of someone talking about a meetup, or start your own tweet up on Twitter using a particular hashtag and decide on your date and time and get together and have fun.
Right, and if you're going to do that, kind of be careful because you never know how many people are going to show up. Because if it's something really popular, you may have 100 people show up.
That's true.
So choose a big venue.
Yeah, choose a big venue. That is good advice if you start your first tweet up, but we'd love to know how it goes if you do. That's all the time we have today. I want to thank you for joining us this Thursday for our live broadcast of SMTV. Thanks for being part of the show and sending in those great questions. For Splash Media, I'm Duncan Gilman.
And I'm Jamie McCook. Thanks for stopping by.